Hello and welcome to this video in the Unity Basics series where we learn all about the UI system inside of Unity. So right here I have just a sample scene set up with just my assets and scenes down on my assets folder and nothing inside of my hierarchy. To start this off, we're going to right click, create a UI, and then create a UI canvas. Inside of our hierarchy, it's going to create two things. It's going to create a canvas and an event system. This canvas, this is the thing that we will see, and this event system is just here because we have the canvas, and once you have a canvas, you also need an event system for it to work. It's not really something you should worry too much about. You can now see that I have these two lines going right in my main camera, and that is the canvas. So if I go to the canvas and click F to zoom out, we can see that we are very, very far out, that the main camera is all the way just very small back there. But if we go to our game, we can't see those lines. And that's because the canvas isn't actually rendered. The canvas is just the thing you put your UI objects on. And so what we can do is we can right click on in the canvas and then go to UI and do anything you want inside of here. First, we're going to go to an image, and then it's going to create an image. We can just name this image. We can just keep it image. And then you can see that it's not a normal sprite like everything else. It has a canvas renderer and an image component on it, and that's just because this is just an image inside the canvas and it's not like a sprite down in your main canvas. But with this image, we are able to change the same things that we can with the sprite renderer down in our hierarchy. For this color in the image here, we can change it to something like red or black, or I'm just going to keep it to white. For the source image, that is anything you really want. You can drag maybe a health bar in here that you have created in another image making thing, but right now I'm just going to keep it as none. We can move this around by clicking W and just move it around, and if we go to our game view, we can see that it's right there, and this is our canvas. But you can also change it by going to here in this little middle center inside of this rect transform. Let's just change the position on the X back to 0 and the position on the Y back to 0 again. And then in here, you can change the anchor presets. So you can change where this anchor is. The anchor is just where it will move from, and that's where it is anchored to. You can see this little image right here, and that it's moving around whenever I do that. It can go to both sides and go to the middle. And it can do whatever we really want. And if we also clicked Shift, it will also set the pivot point where this object will pivot from, but we can just put that back in the middle. And then if we click Alt, it will also do the position. So it'll move it over to there, it'll move it to there. I can make it fit all the way there. I can fit it through the whole thing. But let's just keep it maybe up in the top corner, right there. And then I'd also like to talk about UI panels. So we can go to Create UI Panel inside of our canvas, and you can see here that it's just a big gray object on the back of our thing. If we click game view, then we can just see it's a gray thing, and this is really what a panel is. It's just the background that is on something like your menu screen or your game screen or your pause screen. If you're playing your game and push escape and you want to just get out of the game, then this is what this is. Normally what you would do is change it to like a very dark color and change the alpha to something like 100, 150, just so that it's dark. And you can see here that if I go into my hierarchy, the main camera is blue, but it looks very dark blue because this black is overlaying on top of it. But what you want to make sure is that your panel is behind all of your images or everything else, because you see that this image is white, but it doesn't look very white right there. It looks like a grayish color. But if I move my panel right behind it, my image looks white again because the panel is being rendered behind it, which is what we want. This panel, you can see here that it's also being stretched to the middle, so we can just do Shift Alt and then it's this bottom right. And that's what it originally comes with, because panels are really supposed to just be on the whole thing, and that's what they really are for. Another thing we can talk about inside of the UI is the UI, it's just the text. See, I have Text Mesh Pro because I have a newer version of Unity, but if you do not have Text Mesh Pro, then you do not have to import the TMP Essentials. I'm just going to X out of that. We can create a video on that later on what Text Mesh Pro does. But for right now, I'm just going to click the import and just import this into my game. Once it's been imported, you can just X out of it. You don't have to import the examples and extras because we don't need that right now. And you can see we have a Text Mesh Pro folder down inside of our assets. I will create another video on this later so we don't have to go over all of this. What you really want to know right now is that inside this text input, you can type whatever you really want and it will just type it right there. If I want to type like something like sample text, it will do that. This is the font size right here where it says font size. I can just make this really, really big by just increasing the font size. I can just make it very small by decreasing the font size. This vertex color changes the color of the text. So if I want to make my text red, I just change the vertex color to red. And then you can also just make it bold by going to the font style, things like that. You can italicize it or underline it. And then also in your text, you can change how it is, maybe like, you can change what it looks like. So you can see that my sample text is one word and then a word underneath it. But if I want to change that, I'm going to push T, and then I can take this thing, these blue boxes right here, and move it. And then I can make this yellow box align right with that blue box. So you can see here that if I make it very small, then it'll only be one letter on a line, but if I make it very big, then both of these words can be in the same. This also has the same rect transform as the panel and image, so if I want to make this, let's say, just in the middle, I could do that, and then that, you can see the pivot point and position is in the middle, and that's where it's going to be. It just doesn't look like it's in the middle because the sample text is not in the exact middle of our little box right here. Inside of the canvas, we can also go to our UI. We can also do buttons. Buttons are another thing I'm going to make another video on, but we can just cover them very simply right here. Buttons, along with everything in this UI, along with toggles, sliders, scroll bars, all of that thing, they are all inputs. So if we go to this button, we see we have first right here, and then we can go down and it's got a text. This is just the text that is on the button. Right now it says button. I can just write press me with an exclamation point. We can change all of this. This is just like the text, our sample text, but this button is really what the button does. We can see if the button is interactable or not. The normal color, highlighted color, pressed color, and we can even do something when this button is clicked by clicking this plus button and dragging in an object and putting a function for that. But that is for another video because buttons, they are very important things that you could have inside of your games for level screens and title screens for your games, and they are very important. But for now, that is the end of this video. If you like this video, I hope you give this channel a like and a subscribe, and share this video with somebody that you think would find it useful. Thank you.